12 Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12 Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120OZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot on my mind today. Let's start with the NFL. I wanted to start hockey, but this really got me all sorts of fired up. I want to talk about the breaking news that just happened just now. So the Washington football team announced that Sean Taylor's number is going to be retired, yes, this Sunday. They said it was planned for months that this guy's jersey was going to be retired. He passed away tragically. It's been a decade already. It's been a very long time. He's going to be one of the great defensive players ever. You've seen all the nasty hits he's had outlined, but that's not the story here. The story here is Mr. Sneezy Slimeball of an owner, Daniel Snyder. That's the story here. It's a terrible PR stunt by the Washington football team simply because, remember the other day when John Gruden had to resign as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders because of those emails? And remember the Washington football team investigation? I'm sure there were some nasty emails too with Daniel Snyder. Well, he probably paid someone off, like a politician, and he's trying to use this Sean Taylor thing as a PR stunt to basically ignore all those nasty emails. Can I tell you something, Daniel Snyder? How you sell this dang football team? I always have a hashtag that I like to say. It's hashtag Free the Washington football team fan base from Dan Snyder. Daniel Snyder is probably the worst human being as an NFL owner. Yes, in the NFC East, you have John Mara with his issues with the New York Giants football related, and Jerry Jones, who's the alter ego with the Dallas Cowboys, Jeffrey Lurie with the Philadelphia Eagles. But there is there is always a bad person. He is the rotten egg. Well, you want to know what I hope happens in this retirement ceremony on Sunday? You know what the Washington football team they should sell at the contestant stands? How about they sell some pie? Yes, let's sell some pie for $4. Sell for $4, get all the fans to buy it, and the second that Mr. Daniel Snyder steps onto that field, introduces the thing, you all throw that piece of pie in his face because he absolutely 100% deserves it. You know how you like to do throw pie in people's face for fun? You know what those sororities and fraternities in college do for all sorts of fundraisers? Yes, that's what they need to do. The fan base needs to throw frickin' pie at his face or get a freaking dunk tank and freaking dunk the man, because this guy is so nasty. I mean, it is a complete disgrace to honor Sean Taylor like this. Okay, I know my friend texted me, said that Sean Taylor's number deserves to get retired. I get it. I understand, but that's not what the story is here. The story here is Sean Taylor is being used as a PR prop to basically ignore the bigger story that Mr. Daniel Snyder should be selling the Washington football team. Those emails need to be released. He's probably some sort of racist and homophobic, just like John Gruden is as well. He probably is. It's probably worse than what John Gruden did. But no, the NFL, Roger Goodell, and all the other people, all the other owners, we need to protect the owners. Oh, please, protect the owners. You know who Mr. Dan Snyder's like? That same situation. I don't know how bad it is. But remember 2013 with Donald Sterling, Los Angeles Clippers? Adam Silver basically forced him to sell because Adam Silver basically didn't get cash to basically protect it. Well, I guarantee you Daniel Snyder's probably paying Roger Goodell and other people's off like politicians, so they won't lose their job, doing dirty business work behind the scenes. Oh, but we can't afford Mr. Daniel Snyder to lose his income and all this other. But give me a break. This frickin' Washington, wherever you are, Northern Virginia and D.C. or Southern Maryland or everywhere across the world or the United States, I'm telling you, why does this man still in charge of a dang football team? He has a toxic culture. I mean, this guy hasn't won squat in his era. There have fans that have complained to me about this man that he should sell the team for years, and I am with them today. And you know how much of a New York Giants fan I am. But the fact that the Washington football team has to deal with this man with a toxicity culture, it's ridiculous. And to give him 3 days advance in a note, 3 days in advance? Really? Really? You could have at least done it in a month or two at the end of the year? You had to do this in 3 stinking days? New York Giants didn't mess around with Eli Manning's Ring of Honor ceremony. How about the other teams? Other than the New York Giants that did this properly. Washington football team. Let me tell you something about this Dan Snyder. Oh boy. He's a complete slug. He's a complete spineless coward. The dude is, I don't know. I love to curse more on this air right now about Mr. Daniel Snyder, but I'm just going to let it go here with this whole Washington football team nonsense. All right, let's now get into the National Hockey League. Let's get into those opening game recaps. But before I get into those opening game recaps, I would like to say that the NHL on TNT absolutely nailed it last night with Charles Barkley as a guest. He missed 4 or 5 Wayne Gretzky shootout shots, but that was fantastic. Liam McHugh, Anson Carter, Rick Tocchet. I like Rick Tocchet. But why is Rick Tocchet in the studio and not in the NHL as an assistant coach? That I don't understand. And Paul Bissonnette, I like him also. And also, the NHL on ESPN, I actually did not think was very bad. Although a lot of people did not like the camera angles, I didn't think it was bad. And I like the scoreboards, the graphics on both of those TVs. Hey, something different. And the NHL on ESPN for an opening night broke records in NHL history. That's fantastic. It's fantastic because I'll make the joke. I'll probably make a joke that when I call someone later. That is going to break records, baby, for the NBA on ESPN and Monday Night Football on ESPN. Just kidding. Wishful thinking on my part. The NFL's always king, no worries. All right, let's start with Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay. Want to talk about a coaching display by Mike Sullivan. No Sidney Crosby, RPR sold that team. Evgeny Malkin and Jake Guentzel, your top 3 players. Jake Guentzel is expected back tonight against the Florida Panthers. And Crosby's probably going to be expected back during the 8-game homestand. Not expected to play tonight against the Florida Panthers, but I'm just going to say this. Tristan Jarry looked pretty good. They basically play goal line to goal line. They didn't have Tampa Bay have any high danger scoring chances. Danton Heinen scored the first goal of the year. Brian Boyle was out of the NHL for a year. He scored a goal in the game. He was interviewed on the NHL Network yesterday by Jackie Redmond, E.J. Herdick, and Mike Johnson. That was fun. I always love watching the NHL Network. I think it's the best of the 4 sports networks, if you ask me. Yeah, and I asked my Uncle Frank this because I was watching this as a game, and I thought it was one of the key stories about the Penguins and Tristan Jarry. His padding was different entirely. A new goaltending coach is going to take time, but hey, you got to be optimistic. Hopefully, if they get to the playoffs for a 16th straight year, he doesn't debacle and falter like he did against New York Islanders, but that's not the focus today. The focus today is him getting better each and every game with a new goaltending coach. It's going to take time. It's like when a quarterback has a new offensive coordinator head coach. It's going to take some time. But you know, it's not going to hit right away. So you got to be patient with all this stuff. And basically, the fact that they keep waiting without key players is how a testament of the culture that Mike Sullivan has built from day one. Remember when I told you a couple of weeks ago on this show that I read something in the game program that Mike Sullivan wanted to preach a system for the players, and it's a player's game and not his, despite him coaching up these players to the best of their abilities? Well, they buy it into a system, and that's what winning organizations do. Will they win a playoff series this year? Will they win a Stanley Cup? Who in the high seas knows? But this is why they have been in the playoffs the last 15 years. Because they don't feel sorry for themselves. They don't give a bleep and rip who's out of the line and say, hey, we got a game tonight. We're going to put any random 12. We're going to put any 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, and 1 goalie on the ice. We're going to put out a game plan, no matter the task too big or too small for us to ask, and we're going to get the job done. Culture is not about installing a culture despite losing. The best culture is a winning culture. That's the best culture. You cannot argue with results. And if you do argue with a winning culture, then you're a completely chronic loser. I'm sorry. That's just the way it goes. And John Cooper, the head coach of Tampa Bay Lightning, always already to seem some doubt. Also, Mike Sullivan, I mean, he's been snubbed at Jack Adams Awards before. Maybe he'll get finally his respect. Tristan Jarry, 26 saves for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Andrei Vasilevskiy, 29 saves. It was 3-0 in the third period. Pittsburgh had 3 empty net goals. Tampa Bay had 2 goals, 6 on 5. Now let's get to the debut of the Seattle Kraken versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas, 3-0 lead. Seattle ties it at 3. Ryan Donato had their first career ever goal with the Seattle Kraken. That was the first goal in franchise history. Jared McCann also scored in the second period. Both of those goals were in the second period. Third period was tied the game at 3 for Seattle. And then the debate of did Chandler Stevenson kick the puck into the back of the net? Of course it was a distinct kick in motion. Dude, that's blatantly obvious like soccer. That was blatantly and obvious. I know the guy was trying to make the pass across the ice, and it was wide open, but it was a kicking motion. So Seattle got robbed of at least going overtime and giving themselves the chance to win in a 3-on-3 format. And of course, Vegas gets the benefit of the doubt in the calls when why am I surprised? I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say this like I do about the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas Golden Knights are lucky they play in the Western Conference and not the Eastern Conference. Don't forget that they lost to the 9th best team in the Eastern Conference last year, the Montreal Canadiens, who in fact in a normal year wouldn't have even made the playoffs, even though they have to deserve credit for making it to the Stanley Cup Finals after losing 4 games to 1 against Tampa Bay Lightning. Don't forget it, that Vegas would not be a playoff team or a bubble playoff team in the East. And no, don't say I'm a hater. Just look at the eye test, how they do against these teams. compared to that. They play in the biggest joke of a division in the Pacific Division to begin with. And you're going to sit here, oh, the Vegas Golden Knights are the Stanley Cup contenders. Really? Really? There could have even been a stinking Western Conference team who made it into the Stanley Cup final last year with that format. It shows you the beast of the East, not the beast of the West. Come on. But I did not like the way Philip Grubauer played in net for the Seattle Kraken. Yes, he did make 26 saves, but he was completely out of position all night. And I see why the Colorado Avalanche moved off him via free agency. And he picked up right where he left off with the Colorado Avalanche against the Vegas Golden Knights last year's Stanley Cup playoffs. Robin Lehner's now the new full-time goalie. 29 saves for the Vegas Golden Knights. Because now Marc-Andre Fleury was basically cold-blooded in a trade with Vegas out telling him the Chicago Blackhawks last year. All right. So those games were on ESPN on Tuesday. Let's get to last night's games. New York Rangers and Washington Capitals. Here's the story here. Two storylines. Storyline number one, Alex Ovechkin is now 5th all-time in goals scored. The Arizona Washington Capitals, 731, 732 scored. And I think he's going to break the 741 mark probably by the end of the month. It probably wouldn't be surprising. Number two, the New York Rangers stink from the S to the K. Let me tell you something. They're in for a long year. Well, my dad's like, oh, it's just one game, it's what? No. This is a team that said, we want to be more grittier. We want to be more tougher. You're not more grittier, you're not more tougher. Ryan Reeves, no, that's a terrible signing. Barclay Goodrow, that's a terrible signing. Getting traded away Pavel Buchnevich, that was terrible. Two of your better prospects on the bench or in the AHL, that is on management. Your rebuild, congratulations, New York Rangers. Give yourselves a round of applause for destroying your rebuild. Okay, because know what happened? Because Joe Dolan, James Dolan, I don't know why I'm getting my names messed up this morning, is the reason why the Rangers rebuild has been utterly destroyed. Chris Drury is a yes man to Mr. James Dolan. That franchise is going to be set back 5-10 years. But, they have one of the youngest, my bleeping behind. This team was supposed to make the next jump, and I don't think the Washington Capitals are that much of a powerhouse with being a much older team. The New York Rangers are not good. They will be one of the worst teams in the league this year. And it doesn't help when 5 other teams in the Philadelphia Flyers, the Washington Capitals, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the New York Islanders are all better than you. You'll be barely good enough to be better than New Jersey Devils, the Columbus Blue Jackets. No, you will not finish in last, because that'll be Columbus. But I'm going to tell you this, if the Rangers finish behind the New Jersey Devils and the New York Islanders in the standings, there will be a ton of ice to roll around. And I'm going to tell you, there will probably be pitchforks and all bunch of nonsense. Probably at James Dolan's house be like, what have you done to this hockey team? You know what they say? You know who James Dolan is like? He's like Stanley SquarePants. Whatever he touches turns into fire. It's a fact. You watch the one SpongeBob episode where Stanley SquarePants is like, oh, just because he's SpongeBob is cousin, maybe because it's me golden. No, that's not the case. James Dolan is Stanley SquarePants. He is a guy who everything he touches completely blows up. And you want to know something? I'm going to tell you what this is like. The UBS Arena is the Krusty Krab. The MSG is the chum bucket. So the ownership of the New York Islanders is going to be like, yeah, we love seeing the New York Rangers self-destruct across the way in New York at MSG. And basically setting itself on fire. That's what it's like. Also, Nicholas Backstrom last night for the Caps. Did you see that Alex Ovechkin and his wife and also Nicholas Backstrom, that commercial? That was a very funny commercial. So let's go here. Vitek Vanacek, 23 saves for the Washington Capitals. And I think he's better than over Ilya Samsonov. That's right on head coach Peter Laviolette. And Igor Shesterkin did not start. He will start tonight for the New York Rangers in the MSG home opener. Congratulations to Eric Lundqvist on getting a job as an MSG host with the New York Rangers. And Alexander Georgiev, 22 saves with the New York Rangers last night. And a lot of people are questioning head coach Gerard Gallant. Lastly, the Colorado Avalanche over Chicago Blackhawks last night, 42. No Nathan McKinnon, no problem. Jack Johnson scored a backhanded goal last night of Marc-Andre Fleury in the first period. Raise your hand if you had that on your bingo cards last night, because I certainly didn't. Also, Seth Jones was horrible. Gabriel Landeskog, Mikko Rantanen played well. Lastly, other than Patrick Kane being the leader last year's Chicago Blackhawks, Jonathan Toews was finally back, being the captain and all for the Chicago Blackhawks. It's a good sign that he is back with Chicago after missing all of last season due to a non-COVID related illness. So, Bet Us is our new sports betting sponsor. Also, to support my articles or my show, go to 12ouncesportsnetwork.com/sportinggoods. We are live on Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner, 12 Ounce Sports Quenches Sports Thirst, 12 Ounce Sports Quenches Sports Thirst. Follow me on Twitter, at Glenn Kaplan13, live on Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Pacific, and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific. Only on Twitter, YouTube, 12 Ounce Sports TV, and Tingle TV Channel 761. If you would like to call live into the show, 347-831-1945, 347-831-1945. And as I do on every show, thank you, Cody Jensen. Wonderful job with the World Hockey Report, by the way, yesterday. That was absolutely fabulous. I love how you set the standards for this radio network. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much. JB Beck, Lou Gamelin, Philly Pete, Michael Crazy Carvalho. At 1 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow is the next 12 Ounce Sports War. And I'm making a special announcement on the show, like Michael Carvalho said last week. I will blow out tomorrow Michael Carvalho and my guest host Ryan Leshko at 12 Ounce Sports War tomorrow. You heard it here first. A blowout isn't coming tomorrow on the 12 Ounce Sports War. And if you're not ready for me, then you're going to lose. You know the old phrase? You snooze, you lose. Maybe you're just better not showing up tomorrow because I'm going to be ready for you. Now I want you to show up. I just want to make sure I give you that big fat L on that thing tomorrow. And also thank you to Mitch Bernstein for all the wonderful baseball takes that he does and the wonderful guests he does for his show. And speaking of baseball, I'm going to go over this very quickly. So, other than my AL wildcard game, I've been completely wrong with my picks. NL wildcard game, wrong. I picked the White Sox over the Astros, I was wrong. I picked the Rays over the Red Sox, I was wrong. And also, I picked the Brewers over the Braves in a sweep, I was wrong. So, the ALCS starts tomorrow. The Houston Astros versus Boston Red Sox. I'm taking the Houston Astros in 7. Watch me be wrong. Tonight is Game 5. And then 106 wins for the Los Angeles Dodgers versus 107 wins San Francisco Giants at Oracle Park in San Francisco, California. I am taking the San Francisco Giants tonight. As I said to start before the series began, the San Francisco Giants would beat the Los Angeles Dodgers in 5 games. So I am taking that tonight, but watch me be wrong as well. Yeah, that's all I have for baseball. Let me get into my NBA preview here. I'm not going to spend too much time because I have a lot. I also have to get into my NFL preview for this week. So here we go. NBA season preview. I can't believe the season's finally here. It's going to start Tuesday. TNT. Brooklyn Nets, Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo will be getting his championship rings against James Harden and company, along with Kevin Durant. And also, it will be the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Lakers. All right. So the number one seed I have in the Eastern Conference, I'm going to go in order here very quickly. Number one in the Eastern Conference, Brooklyn Nets. Even though, okay, Kyrie Irving is not going to be there. James Harden, Kevin Durant is still there. And you got a bunch of very great role players. Number two, Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo is probably going to dominate the league this year. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. Maybe they'll be a little bit NBA championship hungover to start the year, but when they start winning games, they're going to be tough to stop. And they're pretty good defensively. PJ Tucker might be a key loss, though. Number three, Philadelphia 76ers. Ben Simmons saga is interesting. Joel Embiid, they're going to take a little bit of step back, but because of the East, they'll still be a top three seed. After Milwaukee at number two, and I think Dante DiVincenzo is going to have a breakout year. And after Philadelphia, number three. Number four, Miami Heat. That's a team that's going to have a nice year. Made some moves in the offseason. Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler hopes to be different this year better. Tyler Herro comes off the bench. You have Duncan Robinson. I know it's all the 305 and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, I know how much Michael Crazy Carvalho is a 305 fan. And the Miami Heat. Number five, Atlanta Hawks. They'll be right where they were last year. Trae Young carried them East Conference Finals. I think they're going to face, they're really young. So maybe they could take a little bit step back, but I like the way they play a lot. Number six, the Indiana Pacers. Domantas Sabonis, Karis LeVert, and Miles Turner's their nucleus. Malcolm Brogdon's not so bad. They have TJ McConnell comes off the bench. They could be, maybe that's a team if they get to a top four seed that maybe makes to try and make a move in the East because they're actually not so bad defensively. They could use another scorer. Number seven, the Chicago Bulls. Made a ton of moves in the offseason. They'll be in the play-in tournament. I thought they were going to be a top six in the East, but I realized there were 6 teams better ahead of them in the East, so that's where they are. Number 8, the Charlotte Hornets. LaMelo Ball, I think they're going to take a step up this year. Number 9, the Boston Celtics. Tell me outside of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown what they have. Exactly. They really don't have anything. They have a new head coach. Brad Stevens is now in the front office. I'm very curious to see how that goes. Number 10, the New York Knicks. No, they're not a number 4 seed. Can't you really rely on Derrick Rose coming off the bench and being healthy? He's got his knee issues. Congratulations to him on getting engaged recently. I wish him nothing but the best. But for the New York Knicks, come on. They're not, I don't think they're that good. I thought they massively overachieved last year, top Thibodeau. Okay, they get Kemba Walker, but that's another guy who's also injured. And Evan Fournier, who really didn't work well with the Boston Celtics and was straight from the Orlando Magic last year at the trade deadline. You gonna tell me the New York Knicks got better? Really? And all you New York Knicks fans are pumping out your chest like, yeah, we're gonna win 60 games this year. You delusional New York Knicks fans have no idea on Twitter what the heck you're talking about. You don't! Because you had one good stinking year. Also Stephen A. Smith, big New York Knicks fan. Number 11, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they're going to be a little bit better than I think. They'll be on the borderline to make maybe a play-in spot, but they're still going to go through growth and rebuild. I like their starting 5 of Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Isaac Okoro, Darius Garland, Colin Sexton. I do. But I absolutely hate their bench with Kevin Love and Lauri Markkanen and Ricky Rubio. And there are Cleveland Cavaliers fans that are critical of general manager Kobe Altman because Kobe Altman said he was going to get a wing player and he didn't. So keep an eye out on that one. Number 12, the Toronto Raptors. I believe they're in a complete rebuild. Nick Nurse's job is safe. Masai Ujiri's job is safe. You guys see how Scotty Barnes develops. You have Malachi Flynn, Fred VanVleet. Pascal Siakam, that's a guy to keep an eye on for a trade. Try and get more picks. They won a championship. They're going to try and reload this thing. Rebuild. And speaking of a rebuild, number 13, Orlando Magic. Jalen Suggs is going to be their core player moving forward. Number 14, the Washington Wizards. Bradley Beal, they have no one else. Number 15, I think they're the worst team in the NBA. The Detroit Pistons. Okay, you have Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, and you drafted Cade Cunningham, number 1 overall. You don't have anything else. So Bet Us is our new 12-ounce sports bookie. And then we are live on 12-ounce sports, Quenches Sports Thirst. 12-ounce sports, Quenches Sports Thirst. We are live on Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. You can follow me on my Twitter page at Glenn Kaplan 13. I am live on Twitter, YouTube, and also only on 12-ounce sports TV and Zingo TV channel 761. While I am live Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Pacific, and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time / 8 a.m. Pacific Time. And if you have any questions about what you would like to argue with me, whether you like, what you don't like, you can call me live on this show, 347-831-1945. Again, 347-831-1945. That's right up on the screen. Now let's go to the Western Conference. Number 1, the Denver Nuggets. I mean, they've only been, think about it this way, the last couple of years. A 3 seed, a 2 seed. Now let's get them to the number 1 seed. Steps, but it's baby steps, but it's progress. But they have yet to get to, well, actually, no, they were just in the Western Conference last 2 years ago. They didn't make it last year. So Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray's healthy. That's a team that might win the West because he had a 28 ACL last year. Michael Porter Jr., yeah, he's a complete mannequin on defense. He's a stiff. And he also stinks for the SDK. But Michael Porter Jr. is going to be averaging 20-25 a game this year. And on the Beta Sportsbook app, Michael Porter Jr. is the favorite to win the Most Improved Player of the Year award. So if you would like to bet on that prop, please do so. All right, number 2, the Los Angeles Lakers. Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, big 3, all you need to know. I think they will figure it out despite, they'll play hard on defense, but I think they're going to lack some three-point shooting. Number 3, the Phoenix Suns. Everyone's back. DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges. But I think the bench isn't as strong as last year. Number 4, the Utah Jazz. Donovan Mitchell is by far the best scorer. I think they're going to take a monster step back. They had a lot of guys overachieve last year. I don't see it happening this year, despite Quinn Snyder being a really good head coach. Number 5, Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic. Probably going to average a triple-double this year, and I wouldn't be surprised. And supposedly what I've been seeing in the preseason is some way, somehow, head coach Jason Kidd in his first year with Dallas is going to make the relationship between Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis work. If that relationship works, then Dallas is a very dangerous basketball team. And they need more support from the supporting cast, like a Jalen Brunson, and a Tim Hardaway Jr., and a Maxi Kleber, and also a Dorian Finney-Smith. Number 6, the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry, they improved their roster and drafted Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody. Klay Thompson will probably be back sometime in January. I hope he can play sooner rather than later, not only for fantasy basketball reasons, but for the sake of the Golden State Warriors fan base. Number 7, the Los Angeles Clippers. I like the fact that they signed Terrence Mann to a cheap contract. The Los Angeles Clippers, yeah, they have Paul George and Reggie Jackson. How long is Kawhi Leonard going to be out for? That's why I think in the very tough Western Conference, I know people were praising head coach Tyronn Lue last year, but the Los Angeles Clippers are not a top 6 team this year in the West. Number 8, the Memphis Grizzlies. I think they're going to kind of be stuck in neutral. Not because I don't think they're going to get better with the young nucleus of John Moran and Jaren Jackson Jr., but I just think the West is loaded. Memphis, when he was in the East, I would give him a chance at 4 or 3. And here's the thing. I wrote an article the other day on 12 Ounce Sports. Speaking of Jaren Jackson Jr., you can check it out at 12ouncesports.com, 12ouncesportsradio.com, and I made a prediction that Jaren Jackson Jr. at plus 1,200 is my favorite to win the Most Improved Player of the Year award. Because he'll probably be coming off the bench rather than field, and he's going to be starting in a lot of games as well for the Memphis Grizzlies. Number 9, the Portland Trailblazers, new head coach Chauncey Billups. But the nucleus of C.J. McCollum, Damian Lillard, and Jusuf Nurkic hasn't changed. Number 10, this might come as a surprise, but the Sacramento Kings. Okay, they haven't made the playoffs since 2006, but you add Davion Mitchell in the draft. That's a great addition, by the way, from the University of Baylor. Won a national championship against Gonzaga. He brings tenacity and a pit bull kind of mentality on the defense end of the floor that Sacramento's desperately missing. You have Tyrese Halliburton, De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes is still there, and I like Rashawn Holmes. I know it hasn't worked out well for Marvin Bagley the second or third, but I like Sacramento this year. Number 11, New Orleans Pelicans. It's not going to work with Brandon Ingram or Zion Williamson. He's continued to be hurt. He's going to have a short NBA career. Bust potential. Number 12, Minnesota Timberwolves. Karl-Anthony Towns, only good player on the team. D'Angelo Russell's all right, but the rest of the roster stinks when he has to decay. 13, San Antonio Spurs. They're really bad. Greg Popovich, it's an outdated NBA for him. Number 14, the Houston Rockets. They're going to go through a lot of growing pains, but I think they're going to show a lot of growth, even if they don't win basketball games. Jalen Green, the second overall pick. And you also have Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood. And Steven Silas as his second-year head coach. And they're going through a rebuild. And speaking of going through a rebuild, number 15, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Expect them when things get bad, they'll go through Tank City this year and try and get a number 1 draft pick. So they took some risks on some international players. So I'm curious to see how bad the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to be this year. Because they're not going to be very good. Let me just say it like that right now. They're not going to be good. So that's how I feel about the Oklahoma City Thunder. And let me get into the NBA playoffs right after this commercial break.
Twelve Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12 Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120OZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sportsbook. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back from commercial break. Let's get now into the NBA playoffs. Alright. So, in my Western Conference play-in, this is as follows. Number 7 seed Los Angeles Clippers. They'll be number 8 Memphis Grizzlies. And I'll have the number 9 Portland Trail Blazers beat number 10 Sacramento Kings. So then, Memphis over Portland, and that's what I have here. And now in the first round. Number 1, Denver Nuggets over number 8, Memphis Grizzlies. Number 2, Los Angeles Lakers over number 7, Los Angeles Clippers. Number 3, Phoenix Suns over number 6, Golden State Warriors. And number 5, Dallas Mavericks over number 4, Utah Jazz. Let's get to the second round. Number 1, Denver Nuggets over number 5, Dallas Mavericks. And number 3, Phoenix Suns over number 2, Los Angeles Lakers. Third round, number 1, Denver Nuggets over number 3, Phoenix Suns. Now let's get to the Eastern Conference plan. Number 7, Chicago Bulls over number 8, Charlotte Hornets. And number 9, Boston Celtics over 10, New York Knicks. And number 8, Charlotte Hornets over number 9, Boston Celtics. Now let's get to the first round. My first round is number 1 seed, the Brooklyn Nets, over the number 8 seed, the Charlotte Hornets. Number 2 seed, Milwaukee Bucks, over number 7 seed, Chicago Bulls. Number 3 seed, Philadelphia 76ers over number 6, Indiana Pacers. And number 4 seed, Miami Heat over number 5, Atlanta Hawks. Second round, number 1, Brooklyn Nets over number 4 seed, Miami Heat. And number 2 seed, Milwaukee Bucks over number 3 seed, Philadelphia 76ers. Third round, number 2 seed, Milwaukee Bucks over number 1 seed, Brooklyn Nets. And NBA Finals pick number 2 seed, Milwaukee Bucks over number 1 seed, Denver Nuggets. My NBA MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Milwaukee Bucks. NBA Most Improved Player, Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies. My NBA Rookie of the Year, Jalen Suggs of the Orlando Magic. NBA Defensive Player of the Year, Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. NBA Sixth Man of the Year, Tyrese Halliburton, Sacramento Kings. NBA Coach of the Year, Monty Williams of the Phoenix Suns. My NBA Executive of the Year is Rob Pelinka and Jeanie Buss of the Los Angeles Lakers. So those are my picks for the NBA awards this year. Now for about the final 18 minutes or so on the show today, let's talk some NFL. So on Monday night between the Indianapolis Colts and the Baltimore Ravens trailed 22-3. And then they had a 25-9 deficit in the fourth quarter. But Lamar Jackson put on his Superman cape and led the Ravens to a 31-25 victory in overtime on the Indianapolis Colts. Here's one of the key plays why the Ravens won. They were down 25-17. The Colts are kicking a field goal. It's not a long field goal. But Calais Campbell blocks the field goal, and the Ravens march down and score on a 2-point conversion. Let me tell you something. Now, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews connection's on point. And also, here's what I find interesting, but also true. The Indianapolis Colts are 1-4 to start the year. And I know people are saying, oh, it's Frank Reich's fault, the head coach. Oh, it's general manager Chris Ballard's fault. Well, I don't know what I find something fascinating, but also very true. It doesn't appear to be an accident when your quarterback's Carson Wentz and you're on to a 1-4 start. See, it doesn't seem to be an accident to anyone. I mean, it's what it feels like to me. Maybe they should have kept Phillip Rivers. And I'm not trying to blame Carson Wentz entirely here. But it seems suspicious that Wentz has more talent than Rivers, but Wentz is off to a 1-4 start where I know Ballard was trying to win now because there wasn't a good quarterback market. That's all I have to say on this. Yeah, and I know Wentz was traded from the Philadelphia Eagles in the offseason, but what do I know? Jalen Hurts of Philadelphia has more wins than Carson Wentz this year. All right, NFL Week 6 preview. This will be the first week of the NFL season where teams will be on bye weeks. The Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints, the San Francisco 49ers, and the New York Jets will all not be in action this week. My record last week was 10-6. My record so far this season is 45-35. First game of this weekend will be tonight. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I know the Philadelphia Eagles always butt it up. They always play hard for Nick Sirianni. But that defense, and I know Tom Brady's got an injury to his finger, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is probably going to throttle that Eagles defense. I think the Eagles will score some points because the Buccaneers defense is average. To start out, I'll take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Philadelphia Eagles. I can see them pulling away in the fourth quarter, 35-21. Game of the week, a battle of 2 4-1 teams between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens seem to be a little bit lucky here on the 4-1 side, but there's no such thing in the NFL, as I like to say, as a bad win. I think the Chargers are a very aggressive football team, and it's going to be an electrifying scene between Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson. That we all could agree upon. There's going to be a lot of times where Brandon Staley goes for it on fourth down, and John Harbaugh goes for it on fourth down. So we'll see. I think that the Chargers defense is a tad better than the Ravens, but there's still going to be points scored. So it's really not going to matter too much. It's just more about limiting those turnovers and limiting the big plays. So I'm taking the Los Angeles Chargers over the Baltimore Ravens by a final score of 35-30. Upset special of the week, the Arizona Cardinals versus the Cleveland Browns. Now, I know Arizona's the last undefeated team here, and I know I've been picking against them a lot because I questioned Cliff Kingsbury. This is the battle of the Oklahoma quarterbacks between Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. And I know Mayfield has been scrutinized all week by the media, and I get he's trying to play with a chip on his shoulder. And they're probably going to run a ball a lot with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, because they probably want to keep that Arizona Cardinals lethal offense on the side. I think Denzel Ward versus DeAndre Hopkins could be a very wildly interesting matchup. Because that's going to be very interesting. But I think there are going to be a lot more points than people anticipate. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns over the Arizona Cardinals by a final score 28-27. The blowout of the week, Los Angeles Rams versus New York Giants. Look, Los Angeles Rams have everyone healthy. I'm not going to be critical of New York Giants too much. Daniel Jones is a concussion protocol. I think head coach Joe Judge should hold him out. Andrew Thomas isn't fully healthy. Neither is Saquon Barkley or Kenny Golladay. It's just going to be bad all the way around. And I know it's going to lot fall coach on, I guess you could call malpractice offense coordinator Jason Garrett and general manager Dave Gettleman for the roster where it's at. And some people question owner John Mara for not caring. And of course, the New York Giants fan base wanted out this Twitter space thing last night, where it could be where they ran just a bunch of nonsense on there, if you ask me. I checked into it once. I'm like, I can't deal with this. I want to watch some hockey. Come on now. It's a last year. This will be a lost game. And I didn't know that on Sunday they were actually honoring the Super Bowl team. And it's kind of sad that where the state of New York Giants franchise is, that they have to honor the past. But I guess being happy is better than being sad in life. But I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams as a block because Matthew Stafford will sling it on his horrid defense with Deshaun Jackson, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and running it with Darrell Henderson Jr. Los Angeles Rams over New York Giants, 42-7. Miami Dolphins versus Jacksonville Jaguars. This game will be played in London. I'm taking, Tua Tagovailoa might be back this week for the Dolphins at quarterback at the 305. And then Jacoby Brissett will probably be riding the bench. And if the Dolphins don't win this game, there will be a lot of head rolling because you're not supposed to lose if you're Brian Flores, lose to Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence. I'm taking the Miami Dolphins over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 24-17. Kansas City Chiefs versus the Washington football team. So I think this is going to be a low-key, very good game. Patrick Mahomes versus Taylor Heineke. I mean, I told you earlier on this show about Sean Taylor's number being retired and how much of a slug, slimeball, spineless coward that I think of Mr. Daniel Snyder. So it wasn't a rant. It was a nice rant. I didn't want to kind of yell too much about it today. But I felt like I had to discuss the matter because we know what the bigger picture here is. That I feel like there probably is potentially maybe some racist and other stuff with Mr. Daniel Snyder. So I believe the Kansas City Chiefs hopefully make Mr. Daniel Snyder a sad song with a win over Washington football team 35-34. Houston Texans versus the Indianapolis Colts. A battle of two bad AFC South football teams. But the Colts have a little bit more talent because of Jonathan Taylor. Davis Mills, I think, will have a nice day for Houston. But the Texans, they just don't have enough talent-wise. They like playing for Dave Coley. It'll be an alarm signal for the Colts if they lose, for Frank Reich. But I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts over the Houston Texans 28-21. Carson Wentz has to play better. Cincinnati Bengals versus the Detroit Lions. And the Lions, they play so hard for Dan Campbell. We're trying to change the culture here. Remember what I said at the beginning of the show, what the best culture is? The best culture is a winning culture. None of this moral victory nonsense and all that. And I know he cares. The best culture is a winning culture. That's all it is in sports. None of this other nonsense. Jared Goff is 0-12 in his career without Sean McVay. He hasn't won without him because he had Jeff Fisher and an interim coach, and now Dan Campbell. They're not going to be biting any kneecaps off. Joe Burrow is going to sling it all weekend to Jamar Chase because the Detroit Lions defense stinks for the SDK. So I'm taking Cincinnati Bengals over Dan Campbell's Detroit Lions 28-14. Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears. Now, this is the NFC North rivalry between Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields. It's the present versus the future. And Green Bay Packers defense has actually been pretty good this year. Justin Fields, I think it's been a little shaky. That defense won in that game last week against Las Vegas Raiders. It did. Don't say that it didn't for 1 second. I think Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams connection might be a little shaky this weekend. But I believe at the end of the day, the Packers are going to extend their winning streak to 5 games. Give me the Green Bay Packers and Matt LaFleur to outcoach over Matt Nagy and the Chicago Bears 17-14. Minnesota Vikings versus the Carolina Panthers. Now, I was very on a balanced scale with this. I mean, I think the Vikings, I'm trying to figure out who is who here with the Minnesota Vikings and the Carolina Panthers. So I'm saying Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold. That could either be a wild shootout or a complete turnover fest. I think it's going to be more of the in-between. I think the Minnesota Vikings take down the Carolina Panthers over by a final score of 19-17. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Denver Broncos. Derek Carr and the Raiders will be playing their first game without John Gruden. I think the Raiders, honestly, are probably better off. And I was on the phone the other night with a Raiders fan. He's like, yeah, we're probably better off with John Gruden. And I told him, I was like, yeah. So, and I think the Raiders are better than the Broncos, especially offensively. Because I'd rather have Derek Carr than I would rather have Teddy Bridgewater. Because the Denver Broncos are who we thought they were. So I'm going to take the Vegas Raiders over the Denver Broncos by a final score of 28-13. Dallas Cowboys versus New England Patriots. This could also low-key be a potential blowout. Because the Dallas Cowboys offense led by Dak Prescott is a total mismatch. Also with Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup in that offensive line is so much better than what Mac Jones has. They don't have a running game. They don't have any outside threats. Kobe Myers, Damien Harris can't rely on a running back. I dropped him in fantasy football. So I'll take them. Dallas Cowboys over New England Patriots 42-20. Also, speaking of fantasy football, I lost this week because Lamar Jackson went off and the Baltimore Ravens defense went off. I was up 60 points in my Yahoo League and I lost. So now since I lost, I'm 1-4 on the year. Seattle Seahawks versus Pittsburgh Steelers. Geno Smith will be starting this week for Seattle Seahawks because Russell Wilson is out with an injury. So this is the week where the Pittsburgh Steelers feast. Defensively, I'll take them over to Seattle Seahawks 17-6. With the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Seattle Seahawks 17-6. And then Buffalo Bills versus Tennessee Titans on Monday Night Football. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills over Tennessee Titans 27-21. Now it'll be an interesting game with Josh Allen and Derrick Henry. And I'm also curious to see how Ben Roethlisberger does for the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. Now my 5 bold predictions for Week 6. Number 1, the Los Angeles Chargers and the Baltimore Ravens will not punt it all in the football game. Number 2, Derrick Henry will be held under 50 rushing yards for the Tennessee Titans against Buffalo Bills' elite defense. Number 3, Taylor Heinicke will outplay Patrick Mahomes. Number 4, Baker Mayfield will outplay Kyler Murray. And number 5, Joe Burrow will throw for 5 touchdown passes for the Cincinnati Bengals against Detroit Lions on the road. Lastly, my top 10 NFL teams entering Week 6 of the NFL regular season. Number 10, the Tennessee Titans. Number 9, the Dallas Cowboys. Number 8, the Cleveland Browns. Number 7, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 6, the Los Angeles Rams. Number 5, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 4, the Green Bay Packers. Number 3, the Los Angeles Chargers. Number 2, the Arizona Cardinals. And number 1, the Buffalo Bills. So once again, my top 10 NFL teams entering Week 6 of the NFL regular season, in case you're tuning in now. Number 10, the Tennessee Titans. Number 9, the Dallas Cowboys. Number 8, the Cleveland Browns. Number 7, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 6, Los Angeles Rams. Number 5, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 4, the Green Bay Packers. Number 3, the Los Angeles Chargers. Number 2, the Arizona Cardinals. And number 1, the Buffalo Bills. So very quickly, I know I didn't get any of my callers, but for next time, it's 347-831-1945. Again, 347-831-1945 if you would like to call on the show next time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time here. Thanks for tuning in to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and weekend as well. I will be back on the air on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Pacific. And the topics will be probably NFL Week 6 NFL game recaps and potentially beta segments to support my show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.